Welcome back to Watching the Throne on the Late Night Chat Network, episode 85. For once, you were happy to hear that, AJ.
Man, it's
No,
actually
he was really into it.
it's growing on me. Even with that intro, I'm really the intricacy of that intro with I think it's actually better than Game of Thrones, man. The way that they're if you
The
really
intricacy of
shut up.
the
I'm learning words, bro. I'm learning words for this show, okay?
Is he becoming educated?
That's right. So listen, okay? It's just so fine detailed if you really pay attention to like what they're doing. They're basically showing the houses and stuff, right? But in different sort of theory, right? In a different sort of layout. Sorry. um it's really cool. I'm starting to like it. I'm still iffy on the song, obviously, but it's growing on me after how many episodes, eight
Ladies and
seasons.
gentlemen, JT's already shot out of a cannon for this one. He's excited to talk about this
Sorry.
if you haven't already noticed. Can I open the show now?
Let's do it. Let's do it, guys. I'm ready, man.
No, welcome back, everybody. This is our Game of Thrones review slash overview show where we go episode by episode of Game of Thrones. We went all the way back to the first season of Game of Thrones, and now we've moved on to House of the Dragon, and now we're doing these episodes live and for this one in person with me and Jay at least. And we got Christina here, our other co-host, along with us today, and we're gonna be talking about these episodes as they come out, a couple days after they come out, week by week here for the newest season of House of the Dragon. So yeah, if this is your first time tuning in, checking us out, make sure to like and subscribe. And yeah, thanks. Hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you think about the show. And today we're going to be talking about, and they're being very secretive about the names of the episodes. I'm noticing now, which is I think good. I know some had leaked, but even like on this second episode for this season, where I was finding online, everybody was calling it "I Love You, Brother," and I even put the name of the episode. Now, if you look online, though, Christine, I'm seeing things that are saying it's called Rhaenyra the Cruel. So I don't know. I don't know if these sources are incorrect or like, but a lot of the places that I was looking today, because when I originally put up the link for this episode, all the articles were calling this episode "I Love You, Brother." So now I don't know if they're changing it purposely to hide like that kind of plot point of the episode. I'm not sure, but now everywhere I'm seeing Rhaenyra the Cruel. So whether or not it's cool, I'll look again after this episode's posted, but we're going to call it Rhaenyra the Cruel for now. This is season 2, episode 2, because I'm seeing conflicting names online for this episode. And if you look for the next episode's name, whether everywhere it's listed, it's all like episode 3. Like it's not saying the name for these episodes, right?
Interesting. Because, yeah, I know one is going to be called Dance of Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's another one with, is that episode 4 or 5? I think it's one of those. And then I think there's another one about like the small people or the small folk.
Okay.
There's going to be one named the small folk or something along those lines.
Okay.
But
that's
yeah,
what I've heard.
They are being sneaky. There's some of them that are actually posted right through, but some of them that aren't, right? So
yeah, because I think the episode name would give it away otherwise, right? So like, I mean, like, because as you can tell, some of the names of these episodes, even Game of Thrones, were very literal. Like it'll be like either a line that somebody says or even just like what happens in the episode, right? The names. So,
yeah, like last episode was the son for a son.
Right. Right. So, but yeah, welcome back, everybody. And we got JT and Christina here once again. Now, let's go around though very quickly. We're gonna try to do it like we normally do. We're gonna go through like scene by scene and kind of delve into what happened this episode and chat about it. But let's get everyone's thoughts overall, though. First of all, because this is fun. We're all experiencing these episodes for the first time. This being a live show that we're doing as well for this new season. Christina, what did you think of this episode?
I like all season 2 episode 2s of all the seasons. I felt like it was a filler episode. Of course, there's continuing storyline. Of course, there's limited episodes, so information is flying fast, but it wasn't as like super eventful for me as I would have expected episodes to be. I mean, it was a fine episode. I wasn't thrilled. I wasn't bored. I was just kind of watching to watch. This is actually the first time I think in the history of my love for this show that I haven't watched this episode more than once before recapping it. So I've only was able to watch it one time. So my first and only impression is okay.
Yeah, I'll get to JT here in a second because I know he's just raring to go here with his opinions. But I felt, to be honest, I was really tired when I watched this episode. I actually watched it on Monday. Here's our old gripes. We're getting older gripes here. I was really tired after work when I watched
Those
it.
damn kids.
I can wait till tomorrow.
I know. It's rare to hear Christina say she just didn't have the time to actually watch this more than once after it aired. All right, so
Especially because, okay, I have another confession to make. I'm sorry to cut you off. My parents were rewatching season 1 again this weekend, and I walked in when my dad was on episode 4 or 3 or 4 of season 1, and I literally was like, "Okay, Lewis, like, take care of the kid. Like, I'm watching it." I stayed up until 2:00 in the morning.
Wow.
Watching it again.
I had to get in on that rewatch, eh? Your feet.
I have a disease. Exactly. I have a disease. Lewis the next morning was like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "I have a disease. I have a disease."
I mean, listen, no offense. We love having you as a recurrent guest, not even a guest. You're basically the third host at this point, like I've stated before. but your dad is honestly the star guest that we need on this show. I mean, I'm sure he has tons of opinions.
If he wasn't so fearful of the internet and identity theft and all,
I mean, we don't have to put his face on.
It's true. You could just
you could just do like
we could cover up his voice, like so he could sound like Darth Vader or something when he's talking.
He definitely has thoughts. He loves these shows just as much as we do. But
I know I've had conversations with him in the past. Yeah. I remember last time we were actually all together, I mentioned it to JT and he couldn't believe it. He's like, "You like that show?" I was like, "Yeah." I mean, like he's a big fan. He's like, "Oh yeah."
Oh dude, I couldn't believe it. I was in shock. I was holy shit. Okay. But I mean,
anyways,
see where you get it from, where you get it from.
No, I was just going to basically say, I was tired. And, I don't want to say I almost fell asleep at a couple of points, but there was a couple of, I thought lulls in the sense, like they were long scenes. Like, how like usually these episodes bounce around quite a bit. And this is an episode that went over an hour. It's like an hour and 8 minutes or something this episode. Right. And I feel like they really took their time on some of the scenes in this one. Like they really kind of had these like lengthy conversations with certain characters in this one. Obviously all important things that are building within the relationships of this show. Yeah. I just think that and I'm not even saying it's a bad thing. It was just very apparent. I felt like this episode compared to like, I feel like the pacing of the show normally. Right.
Yeah.
But what did you think over there? I liked it overall though. I think overall it was good. But other than the ending, like there's a couple of really good scenes at the end of the episode, like the anchor of the episode, of course, like normal, but otherwise, I thought it was just good. I thought it was okay. What'd you think?
Well, I
Get
thought
into
it was
the bread and butter.
I thought it was a great episode. I thought it for a like if you want to call it a filler episode, like you said, Christina, I'll say that. But I mean, there was a lot of fucking stuff I think dropped in this one that people might have maybe didn't. Me watching it 3 times already. I think 4, if I'm not mistaken, because of the time I watched it.
Proud of you.
Yes. Okay. I picked
Look
up
what you've done.
everything. I had fucking the closed caption on. I picked up on a lot of stuff that you would. You know what? In a quick listen and a talk, you would honestly. I'm telling you right now, it would go right over your head if you didn't pay attention to the subtitles. And yeah, I think a lot of people don't know that, but I have a few arguments on this one. So
do you know where to bring that point up later on, or should we get into it now?
No,
you know when to bring it up? Okay.
I put a star at asterisk behind side.
Amazing. So I'm so proud of you.
But this is great because throughout the whole time watching Game of Thrones, and when we did that, watching the throne, when we started this, we went back and started watching Game of Thrones. This is my first time ever revisiting the show. I had seen it all, and Christina and other people that have been on there had seen it all before. Jay had never seen it. We could not get a theory out of this guy if we tried. But yet now he's coming with theories. He's coming with he
really loves this show. Like this series, he loves this one.
I love it.
I do. I'm sorry. I found out there was a fucking from one of my cousins the other day that there's watch parties. at like the Madison and like fucking places like that on
They
Sunday.
do?
Yes, I found out they had these watch parties, and he went to one this Sunday.
Yeah, so
not at
we're-
the Madison,
so
but he
we're-
went at another one.
We're
tonight.
possibly planning on going to one of these. Me and Jay, we're talking about it now. We have to just
I'm
see
gonna
which
dress
bars
up
are
with
doing.
an eye patch, everything. Man. I'm going all out, man. I'm going in there.
She get a
Blonde
long blonde wig.
Yes, I'm borrowing it from
An
Rob.
eye patch.
I don't know where I'm gonna get the
And
eye
just
patch.
stand around like ominously all night.
Yeah, I'm going straight up.
Curl up in someone's lap.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. You know what? That's what I'm hoping
Yeah,
for.
they should have a watch party at the strip club. It'll be like their version of the pleasure house.
Yeah.
Yo, that's a great idea. Contact your local
It
strip
actually
club.
is. It actually is. You know that?
Yeah, you like that?
I'm gonna throw that out there to one of the strip clubs one day. You know, there's one by my work. I'm gonna throw a walk in there.
There's one by my work.
Yes, I'm gonna drop in and I'm gonna say, listen, you know, I work over here. You know, guys,
I work over
you know, I watch this show. Let's do a
You
watch
do a-
party on Sundays, and it would make it feel like a brothel.
Yeah.
It would be so
There you
cool.
go.
Yo, you'd bring some clientele in.
Yes, they don't
You
get it.
know,
I'm gonna have to chat with them.
your
Yeah.
patrons can just tell their families, I'm just going to a watch party for House of the Dragon. You don't have to specify
That's right.
where.
It'll just be like old
Yes,
back in the
imagine
day
I could just
where
tell my
people
family.
confided in
Imagine if I could tell my family.
ladies of the night.
Oh yeah, guys, just this. It's on this street here at this time. Just show up. It looks like it looks kind of weird from the outside, but make sure you walk in. Trust me, it'll make it all worth it.
No, for you would say as an excuse, not invite your family
Why not?
to the strip club. God.
Hey guys, come on in. It's a watch party.
It's a watch party. Come on in, man. I'm telling you, man.
I have a headache already.
Sorry.
It's okay.
All right, moving on.
Your headache's gonna get bigger and bigger. Don't worry. I start arguing.
Yeah, we'll
got
get into
notes.
this. But yes, as Christina mentioned too, I mean, because of your baby dragon over there, you might have to step off screen for a moment if needed. So if she does have to step off screen for a minute, she might be tagging in somebody else to
The other lord of the manor.
The real worldwide.
we'll see. Yeah. Real worldwide. All right, so let's get into this episode though. Yeah, this Mr. Worldwide to you, okay? Here we go. So basically at the start of this episode, we're dealing with the fallout of the death of Jaehaerys, Aegon's child, their King Aegon's child, and he's freaking out and breaking things and yelling and saying that he declares war, and he's just losing his shit. Obviously, at the start of this episode, you see a bunch of the guards or people carrying blankets that are all bloody. I don't know if it's like the people that clean up the rooms or whatever, their help. They're running out with all this stuff, and yeah, it's just everything's kind of all over the place at the start here. Obviously, they were dealing with the fallout of what just occurred at the end of the last episode. As
I
we
don't know.
right? So
Okay, but yes, we
Um,
know that's what they're doing. Yes,
that's what they're portraying.
yes, for everybody to see, except the smart people.
Okay.
Go on.
Okay. I don't know how you can develop a theory from people cleaning up sheets, but sure.
Yeah, you'll get to that later. Yeah.
No, we'll get to
Is-
that. It's actually not. It's really close. It's actually the next scene.
Was it
Okay.
also just me, or was I know Aegon's like a dad, but did you just think that his reaction was a little surprising considering he'd never seemed to really care that he had children prior to this?
I think that's us slowly learning that he's just bloodthirsty to stir it up, cause trouble though. I think because the more this episode goes on, and
Yeah.
as
Yes,
Otto
okay.
points out, right? So
You're a
go ahead.
fool.
Is that what we're jumping into right now?
I
It's
mean,
right
we
here.
can. It's
'Cause
yeah,
he's
but go ahead.
After Eamon goes to see the crime scene, right? You know how he walks in there, he's checking everything out, where they're clearing out the beds and stuff quickly. He's got a little bit of an interest. He finds the coin, right? There's a part where Otto's going to see. Goes to see his daughter there. What's her name? Allison.
Hmm.
Okay, goes to see her, but they talk. They have a little bit of a talk there, right?
Yeah.
And you can hear her saying, she says in a line there, and I remember she says she says my girl. She says my girl, like my poor girl. I don't know who she's saying, if she's
Her
talking.
daughter. Her
Why-
daughter is the mother of the twin that was beheaded.
I don't think so, man.
So JT is convinced that this is all, which I get your angle with this, although I thought this was confirmation enough this episode, and we'll get to why. But he believes that the theory was, again, at the end of the last episode, we were talking about this. He thinks that this is,
I think Otto saw it setting something up.
yeah, that would make sense if you were thinking that, in the sense that he's trying to gain sympathy from the common folk. No, of course.
Some good may come from
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
this. Yes. Do you?
Yeah.
So he
There's
thinks
a few
this is
there's
all,
a few points in this.
he
It's not
thinks
even
this
just
is
that
all,
part.
orchestrated. Like,
So, okay, so you think
people
that it
that
was
Otto
orchestrated?
knows, that the daughter knows, but there's not many people besides them that know.
because Otto seems to be, or like, he already knows what to do. It seems like, is that what you're getting at? Like, in all these situations? Yeah,
He's not really fighting anything. He's not. I mean, he's angry, yes, but he's angry. You know why he gets angry in this scene and these other then later on in this show, and he's getting angry because he's feeling that he had control over this, and fucking Aegon went and fucked it up. Him and Sir Kristen Cole. They're gonna start an unnecessary war.
I don't actually think that but with that theory to hold weight, you don't think that the kid's dead.
No, I think it's.
You think the daughter's dead?
Yes. So, because when they're pulling the body through the fucking streets, okay, if the head wasn't attached, wouldn't it fall off after it hit fucking?
Well, I have
they have
comments
it
on that.
stitched.
I have comments on that too. Yeah, I have comments on that. But yeah,
it almost looks like,
listen,
it looks like the daughter may be laying on there too as well.
When you came in here and you just threw that out there that you thought that was a theory and you didn't really get into it because we were about to record the episode, I disregarded it. But now that you actually are saying, like, as soon as you started saying that, I got where you were going with it, with the Otto angle.
Yeah,
and that does work. That does make sense. But I honestly don't think,
because they are twins, so they do look similar.
I mean, the fact that Otto is, like, the whole time he has an idea of how they're gonna play this, but that could just be, that's his job to begin with, though, right? Like, that's, like, you know what I mean? Like, as
But
the
he's been wanting to guard.
But how do they?
In the realm, like he wants the good of it, man. Like fucking Harris, like you told me, yes, like we've already.
No, not Jaehaerys.
Sorry,
Varys from Game of Thrones.
Yeah. But even like the actual king before this that died, what's his name?
Viserys.
Yes. Even him, he wanted the good
of the realm
for everything.
Yeah.
Right. Why do you think he picked Rhaenyra's?
Yeah, Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra. Sorry,
Yeah.
I always
they're all the same.
They're all the fucking same. But you get what I'm saying, right?
So along this line, let me just play devil's advocate here. If this is the case, if Otto set this up so that the daughter was killed, they're making it seem like it was the son, whatever. What happens when this child that is alive grows up, if it is the actual boy? Like, right now, he's looking for sympathy of the small folk and everything else. But what happens when this child grows up, if it is the boy? You're going to play it off as a girl, or all of a sudden it's going to be like, oh, we made a mistake. And it's like, did nobody bathe this child for 12 years?
They're playing that one off like it's the other kid. They're twins, man.
Yeah, but there's a boy and a girl.
Yeah, but nobody checks for the fucking penis anyways. What are they going to tell?
But that's what I'm saying. Okay, fine, fair enough. Like, if
there's theory though, like,
if this is what you think, what happens when that child grows up? Like, what's the end game?
They can. That's what they could use as. That's the end game is for hopefully good to come from this, for there not to be a fucking fight, for them not to be, and they could say what happened because they had the rat catcher, they got the other guy.
Yeah, but are they going to continue to play it off like it's a girl for the rest of his life? You know what I mean? That's what she's saying. Like where do you go from
because
here?
if they made this plot to protect the heir, like Aegon's heir in Jaehaerys, like
they could be revealed within the next season. For all we know, I mean, it doesn't have to be revealed this season in that sense. Like, the kid can just stay who it is. It could be, I don't. Okay, I didn't maybe get that part of it, but yes,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to burst your theory bubble, but I'm just like
fucking same for a little while, anyways, with their blonde hair and their blue eyes, right? So, I mean, you could play it for a while, but
I just think Otto is like too smart for that. Like, he would, like, right now, it might raise some like good points for Aegon in the fight against Rhaenyra for the crown or whatever. Like, it might bolster that right now, but like, is that a good long-term game? And I don't think it is. Like, personally, I don't know, but I
Yeah.
don't know.
I-
It's not a bad theory. I actually quite like that theory as like a twist and a turn. Who knows?
Yeah, I enjoy it
Maybe
too.
I didn't think that far into it, but still, I mean, maybe they aren't going to go that far into it, which I'm hoping they're not. And they get it over with quick, so it stops, because this wars are going to happen regardless.
What you're saying about his actions that he followed up with, though, throughout this episode, though, that does track. That's what I mean. I will say that.
Makes sense.
I will say that if that is what he was trying to pull off,
Yeah,
everything he does after this in this episode would make sense. But I think where it falls apart is like not even just Christina's theory is, again, I just think that confirmation of the kid there, you're saying there is a body, but it's not who we think. It's not the son, like who we thought. Yeah. But then like, who's all in on it? Is Helena in on it? Right? Why was she not? You know what I mean? Like, who they would all.
And she doesn't seem like malicious like that. She doesn't seem like vindictive enough for that.
It's an interesting theory, though. It's an interesting theory, but I think like the confirmation is what
she's been very quiet though. But even through this episode, even even his wife there, what's his name? Egon's wife there.
Helena.
Yeah, Helena. Yeah. She's very quiet through this whole thing, anyways, too, right?
Yeah.
She didn't really want to go through the funeral procession. I get it. Period.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but there was that scene it was that scene there that got me going, right?
That's what the show's about. Let's hear those theories, man.
So, I mean, I don't know. I like I said, I could be wrong. I'm going to try and stick with that theory.
All right,
for
we'll
as long
see.
As I can
we'll see how this plays out.
Maybe watch him that way. Maybe rewatch it again.
We'll see how this plays out.
I got a whole other week until the next one comes out, so I can watch it again.
But that's not it. That's not all, folks. He's got other points to make this episode too. Believe me, I got a little preview of it. Christina, anything else though before we move on here? No. Okay. Allison meets with her father, Otto, to discuss, as Jay said, saying that she's been punished by the gods. We will mourn as we must, but some good may come out of all this, like Jay said. Otto says. I wrote that down because I thought that was a very a very important quote. Oh, he's great.
If you watch their acting, the way they portray, like
what's this actor's name again? He's excellent.
Reese Irfin.
Yeah, I've seen him in a bunch of things. He's excellent. Yeah,
the way they portray themselves, like even the acting, the way they're doing, it's great acting role, even facial expressions. I mean, I watch a lot of TV, and you guys know that. I mean, they're doing great stuff here to for you to actually see this and see the way they're trying to portray stuff, and maybe fuck with you or me or whatever. You know what I mean? They're really good at mind fucking in this show. I know that. And like I said, we don't see people killed. We don't know.
Well, I'm the one that told you that long ago.
And now he's got me stuck on that theory. Because
sometimes you got to let it go, though. There's some confirmation.
You don't have to let nothing go. I never let anything go.
Oh, all right. Next up, I don't know what to say to that. Aegon meets with the small council. Oh, actually, hold on. Larys announces they caught the gold cloak responsible. Yeah, so Aegon meets with the small council, yells at them. He basically calls out Kristen Cole, says, "Where were you during all this?" Curses out Rhaenyra. Otto says they will find out if she is responsible or not. And that's when Larys comes in and announces that they caught the gold cloak responsible in the death of his child. Anything?
Yeah.
Yes. Otto, again, compliments his work on Lord
Larys.
Lord Larys.
Yes.
So I feel like these two are going to become. I suspect these two are going to become the next Varys and Baelish. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he's for sure Baelish, that character, like in the sense, like if you're going to point to somebody that's an archetype of the same type of character, Varys is the Baelish as far as I'm concerned. But you're saying you think he's the Varys, Otto, because he actually cares about the realm in the same way that Varys did.
Yeah, he doesn't want the fighting. He doesn't want that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
in that sense.
That's a good point. Yeah,
but also he Lord what's his name, Larys there, comes in at the right time.
Yeah, like
he literally drops that line perfectly, like perfect timing before they were gonna go. He was going nuts, the bitch bastard, the bitch queen. What are the queen of bastards is what he calls her. You know, gotta pay and blah blah blah.
Yeah, later on, Kristen Cole calls her the bitch queen. They refer to her as later on in this episode, which I caught. which I think that was the first time she was referred to in that way, at least that I've seen right on this show, or I remember.
The bitch queen of
anyways.
bastards.
Yeah. Anything about this, Christina? This scene?
It was painful. Like Aegon, like, was, he's pissed, and he's obviously, anyone who's like, lost a child, is like, people are like, the hand's advice is to like, oh, there might be some good that comes out of this. Like, there's no good that ever comes out of the death of a child. Like, please, like, unless you're like a social, like a society climber or something, like, this is awful. And it's like, you could see Alicent's like
Yeah.
hesitation. Like, as a mother, she wants to comfort him, but like, as
she's stuck in the
like,
middle of
she's
this.
stuck, and like, obviously they don't have a great relationship. She doesn't necessarily love him that much. Like,
in that same sense, though, it's ugly, but like they do need to try to spin everything in terms of a political kind of, like, what I mean, like, stance on this. And like, obviously that's nothing new. Even politicians, like, people try to garner sympathy for certain situations to gain votes and confidence in people, and like to have, like, what I mean, like, and to get them on their side. And so, like, really he's just doing his job. But you're right, this is not like, this would not be the time for that. If you just lost a child, you'd be like, I need a fucking moment to mourn my kid. But like you just pointed out, he really didn't take that, or I think it was you, or it was you, that he didn't really take too much interest in him. It seemed like
it didn't seem like it in the beginning, but who knows? Like, I don't know, maybe we'll learn more.
You know what? Death of a loved one, or death of I guess a child, and stuff like that. Yeah, people deal with sympathy in different ways. So as we'll get to see later on. But yeah, for that, I don't hold that against him. Anger at the first moment would probably be the biggest thing that I'd be thinking, as myself. I don't know if I would be, I don't know if I'd be thinking with a straight mind right away. So I can understand that. Now, whether or not we're going to come and see them work together and, work and deal with this in a decent manner, other than, fucking going nuts, berserk, and trying to kill everybody, but as we know, we're going to see what happens in this episode, right?
So then Otto advises to use, the perception that Rhaenyra did this to their advantage, despite them not knowing for sure whether or not she was directly responsible here at this moment. But with the common folk of King's Landing there, he promises Aegon his war, but if they play this out, they can basically, garner sympathy, and he can double his forces and support in doing this. Like, so this is his whole angle, his whole idea, which, to your theory, if you're right, it does seem orchestrated in that sense. But I think he kind of was just like, I know a way to spin this in this moment. That's kind of where where I was coming from with it.
Yeah,
but
I got here that he's got he tells to get as much info from the guy as they can, right? The guy that they caught with the head, right?
So, and then he basically just comes up with this plan to parade the child around in the procession, and for all to see, with Alicent and her daughter / mother of Jaehaerys, Helena, and those two present, and the king nowhere to be seen, right? Like they did not want him there, because obviously with this stuff right now at this point, it seems like. And I think Otto, just as we find out later, just doesn't have confidence in him that he's, what I mean, like, he can keep it together in any situation. It seems like, it's kind of a loose cannon of sorts, right? So I
think even at this time, like, just, I guess, I don't want to say the noun stereotype this now, but it's like, a mother grieving, there's nothing more,
the tears,
like, there's nothing more, I guess, heartfelt. Like, if you see that, your heart is gonna bleed for that woman, or that person. So it's like, let's parade them around with the deceased child's body, and it's like, you're gonna garner the sympathies of everybody. There's not one person that's gonna look at this situation and be like, they deserved it. Like, it's not gonna happen. Whereas if the king was there, as a man, he's not supposed to show emotion like that in this time I'm talking about, right? Like, I don't know. So it's not a bad idea, it's just fucking horrendous. Like, I could not imagine, like, the day after or the day of losing my child, like, I'm being paraded through the streets. Like,
it's kind of crazy.
horrible.
And like you mentioned earlier, Allison being in between all this, because even like when he hears this, like even Aegon kind of looks at his mother like, I don't like this idea kind of thing. And she's kind of trying to be a good sport about it because she had promised her father Otto that she was gonna, you know what I mean, that they should work together as opposed to him undermining her and all this kind of shit, right?
Yeah.
So like then like obviously then she has the task now in this next scene to go speak to Allison and give her the bad news, and Helena, and give her the bad news, and she doesn't want to do it, and she's still grief stricken. And basically, Allison convinces her that it's their duty to do it, right? She puts on a brave face, and she's like, "Well, we have to do this because it's what we should be doing, right?" But it's like they're not ready for it. Like it's terrible what happens that next
see how
scene.
Allison too tried to throw it in there, that scene, what she was trying to say with what she was doing with Christian, with Cole at that moment. She tried to kind of justify to a fucking grieving mother. That was another thing just before she handed her a blanket.
Because they feel responsible somewhat for what happened.
You know what I mean? Because they were too busy banging.
That's right.
You know, and he was supposed to be watching. He is in the Night's Guard.
Which is addressed later in this episode as well, a couple of times, right? But that's really what the guilt is from with those people with that. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel really bad for Helena in this episode, to be honest with you. Like
she's the one, that I feel is taking it the worst. You know, like
of course, but she's just like she was already. It seemed like you said, I had the perception that she's not all there 100%, but you guys brought up the fact that she's just like, you know, it's got like premonitions and shit like that. Which
and then next to her, two big personality brothers, like really, but
that's why there's a scene later on where he kind of just brushes past her, and she's like, this is her coming back from the procession, like just ignores her. Like he's just like,
it sounds like he runs away.
Yeah, but he's like in his head dealing with all this shit too. But like she could use him at this moment. Like she looks to him and like he doesn't even like look in her direction. He just blows right past her.
Yeah, even a hug.
I felt bad. I felt bad for her in that moment too when that happened. I was just like, that's kind of shitty, right?
Yeah,
like
that's like the only time they've seen each other in the whole fucking show. This episode.
Yeah, like they haven't actually came to terms at all, those two. You've never seen those two talk about this because he's using this as an excuse to wage a war now as a result, right?
I think it's all a game. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
We'll see.
Yeah, I guess.
And then this next scene, we it kind of bounces back and forth between two scenes at the same time here.
That's why I keep writing that. Like I keep writing this both. I wrote a lot for this, man.
You're seeing the procession proceedings there as they kind of parade the Jaehaerys's body there through the streets, and they have him on top of like a small coffin, it looks like, and Christina had mentioned that the head may be like sewn on or attached or something like that.
Okay.
But in this scene, I don't know if you guys felt the same. They're playing with the viewers' expectations, thinking that body is gonna go flying right off, bro. I got so scared. I'm like, oh my god! When I was watching with Christine, I'm like, this is horrible. This body's gonna go flying into the street.
I'll tell you right now.
When the wheel got stuck, I was like, oh no.
You see it? It's like rocking. It's like they're fucking with us. I hated it, and it didn't happen. And I'm like, oh, you bastards.
The worst part is that the funeral, even the funeral, when the body's on top, it doesn't look like a fucking body that's dead. It's been dead for 48 hours now, or whatever it is, right? It doesn't look like that. It looks too good. It looks like it's just, there on top. That's what I mean. If they're portrayed like these aren't streets that are like us, these are mud streets and fucking like this is garbage streets, and they don't have rubber on the tires or anything like that. So I'm waiting for the head to fall off. It's just. It doesn't make for me. It doesn't make sense.
I think they purposely were doing that though, like showing us those shots of it, but like jostling around and like Christina mentioned, then when it got stuck, and it was just like they're like trying to push it. You know what I mean? I'm just like, oh no.
I don't think there's gonna be that many time jumps either from here to the
the season. No, probably not.
Very very little time jumps even in this whole series. I don't think there's gonna be much.
They're at war now, right? So that's. But Christina, you felt the same way, like you thought.
Oh man, I was like, oh god, something's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen.
What do they do? Glue the body to the fucking? That's what I don't understand. Like they were like, can't you put it inside and open it up halfway like they do nowadays? Like seriously, I don't know, man. It was just weird.
I know. I was like, well, that's to
I
be
did
honest.
notice
Go ahead.
yeah,
Well,
sorry.
well,
No, like no, like there were some beautiful shots like in this
Yeah.
scene, like the one where Helena's like looking up like through her black veil and like with the ash or the
it's like gold flakes
pollen
almost look like. Yeah.
or something, like the pollen falling like through the I don't know, like there was something really beautiful about this episode.
Yeah.
And they kind of had a similar scene with Rhaenyra, like later on, where she's looking up at the dust or the something swirling around. Like, so I don't know what that means. I'm assuming it's ash.
I
I
was
don't know.
gonna ask you. I was gonna ask you because it
Like,
seemed like very prominent in that
yeah, like
scene,
there
but
was
I don't
two
know what it meant
It
either.
slowed down and everything for her.
Yeah.
You know what I
so I
mean?
wonder if this was like because with Helena, I'm like, I wonder if this is a premonition for her that she just didn't verbalize, but this is like along the lines of like something to keep an eye out. So now I have a mental note about
Same.
this like
I was
stuff
gonna
in the
ask
air.
you. I was gonna ask you if you had any theories on that because I couldn't figure it out, like what that was supposed to symbolize, what was happening in that moment. Because even the reaction on her face is that she was kind of. It seemed like she knew something that the viewers didn't in that moment. I don't know, like
It was
obvious.
beautiful. She looked beautiful in that shot. It was like, oh
She
my
did.
god, like
But you're right. Even like that's actually the picture that I have of this episode is a shot of them with the like the
veils.
veils over their faces, which I thought was really well done, like the look of it
Mhm.
and stuff
Well,
like that.
I noticed they did a lot of visual effects with themselves. Like they didn't use too much CGI in
Right.
this one, which is good. You can save the budget. You know what I mean? But they didn't use as much crazy CGI. It was all acting and it was all facial expressions. It was all real acting, which I like to see too once in a while. The CGI and the visual effects are always good to watch, especially in a show like this that's so meant to have it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I really did. I enjoyed that scene too, as well. As I'm just trying to think if it had something symbolized with the the sky is falling. You know, like,
right. I just know that they were playing with, I feel like our expectations in that moment. And to be honest,
the whole episode, I think.
And to be honest, I wouldn't have minded if I know this is horrible to say, but I think if that body did go flying, it would just be in line with some of the darker things that have happened on this show. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, like
some gripes that I have against the show with that part. Yeah,
right.
They wouldn't do that because you can't have a kid's head fall off in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
sorry,
but they hinted at it happening, right? So I mean, and then during this, you're also getting cutting back to Laris. He goes to visit Blood there, the big guy who killed the kid with the rat catcher there. Asks him who his accomplices were. He gives them up real quick, like just like no. It seemed like, I mean, maybe they were obviously they were probably torturing him prior to him showing up there, but like he was just like, oh yeah, this it's like Damon told me to do it, and it was a rat catcher, but I didn't catch his name. It just seemed like because of the fact that we didn't really get much talk, that he gave it up like right away.
I wonder if that was just on purpose because they don't have time to like waste, so it's just kind of like, I know it sucks like as a storyline because it's like who really would give up information that quick, but at the same time it's like really like you're so irrelevant. We need to end you by the end of this episode. Like it just needs to be done. So just
I like Lord.
Here we go.
Tools there, man. I really wanted to.
Oh man,
they were for like they would,
medieval,
but they would have showed it if it was
or...
what's his face. If it was Ramsay from Game of Thrones. So let's see this, man. I want to see what these torture tools are for, man.
Yeah, well, we might as well mention it because you're dancing around already. So the JT's other comment to me the other day, we briefly chatted about this. Obviously, we try to keep this talk for the show, but he had mentioned that he felt like they were being choosy about things that they're deciding now to show and not show on this show. And I think you're upset by that fact. You're like, why are we seeing a baby come out of a woman's vagina? You mentioned to me, but we can't see him beat the shit out of this guy with a mace, which is what happens in this scene. But they kind of, you see him hit him, but then he cuts away. Right. So is that what the point you were trying to make? Like why?
Well, no, I mean, that's what's his name does. Aegon hits him with the thing, but I'm upset about that. It's like they pick and choose what they're going to show you. Like, I don't know if it's TV or if it's what TV allows. You know what I'm saying?
Don't you think those certain scenes will be more impactful if it's not like brutal like all the time? you know what I mean? Like in that sense, because they do keep the really good deaths. They show it in this show, as we've already seen. Like we've seen people's heads get sliced in half. We've seen, we've seen some pretty bad things as we talked about even the first season, right?
Yeah. I mean, we've had seen a little. Like, I mean, they showed that part. They showed that, and it was fake.
I guess I know what JT is trying to say. Like it's like, why do they need to show the birth scene? Why can't they just talk about it? Like, why do they need to show this, or they can't show him being beaten up, but they can show that? Like, I understand. I don't know what well, I mean, season 1 was very different than is very different from season 2. Season 1, they had to go full throttle, like balls to the wall, because they didn't know that they were going to get piloted or approved for season 2 and beyond.
That's his point too, though. Are they reeling back now? Like, are they just like,
we got 4 seasons of it, right? At least.
Are they holding back? Right.
I think they're holding back enough. But they also have to move the story along because there's so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, they're
trying to fill.
Yeah, they do have to move a lot of stuff around quickly, but honestly, I sometimes it's like, they can show that in other things, but they can't show it in certain, like I get angry with that part, especially, and I'm not just saying with this show, I'm saying with TV in general. Lately they pick and choose what they want to show you, so it's kind of bothering me too, because I mean, we could see it all. It doesn't really matter. They show it in horror films. They do it in stuff like that. If you call it a film, it's different. If it's a TV show, it's one whole different aspect. I mean, and this is not a TV show for kids to watch, obviously. So I mean, really, if you're doing your parenting as a parent, then your kid won't see this. You know what I mean?
I have a total sidebar, non-related comment. Lewis and I were watching The Nutty Professor the other night, like
Eddie Murphy movie.
Yeah, from like the 90s, and like it was like 96 or 97 or whatever.
Yeah,
it is so vulgar and so inappropriate. It had a PG-13 rating, and I'm like, who is allowing their children to watch this movie?
Well, to be fair, I watched it pretty young, that movie, when it came
out. If you think of it, it's like, oh my god, like it was so. That's so to your point about like being censored on TV versus movies, like like. Anyways, it's just that was my sidebar comment. Just shocking how things.
Yeah, the times they are changing. Some things, some things you like, and sometimes you don't like certain things about it, and that's a whole other conversation, but. But yeah, I think you're right about that in that sense. Like, yeah, even the ratings back in the day have changed in comparison to today, right? But then you watch some other shows and they're so very outlandish things still being played on TV, right? So
I had to get rid of cable, man. I can't. I'm not allowed, man. Like, I can't do it. I can't watch PG-13. It's too R-rated for me.
But yeah, so he admits he gives up Damon, saying he hired him, and he said he had help from a guy who was a rat catcher, but he didn't catch his name. He didn't, and then basically he says he asked him if he's going to kill him or torture him or whatever, and he says no, not me, but I can't promise anything with Aegon there, and Aegon, I can't say the same for him. And Aegon comes in and basically beats him to death with a mace, but as JT pointed out, you see him strike him once and it kind of cuts away, and we just get the idea that he beat him to death with the mace, right? With so, and
to your point there, maybe they're just trying to move it along, right, and do it like that. I get that part too. They save the better stuff for the what we're gonna watch, right? But honestly, I would like to see a beating here. Why not? Because that's what he deserved, right?
And then we kind of talked about already with the part here is it's cutting back and forth between through going throughout the streets. One thing we didn't really mention though is they're all trying to grab Helena, like yelling shit about Rhaenyra in this scene and trying to grab onto her. It's kind of like
weird,
scary even from her perspective, like all these people like trying to like, you know what I mean, like grab onto you. It seemed like, you know what I mean, like I don't know, like it doesn't seem like they hated her. Like this wasn't a Cersei thing, but it was like, again, it's kind of
to touch her.
Yeah, because
it's just what celebrities nowadays like deal with, like people reaching for them, trying to rush to them, grab them, touch them. It's like you just want to touch these people. Like I don't know, like I guess because you think they're royalty, you think they're like, especially those people, like the class between rich and poor is so great.
Yeah, it's like gonna be like that here one day.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like it's I think that's what they were trying to do, is just trying to touch her, maybe because they think, I know like Rhaenyra mentions it, like about Targaryens being closest to the gods,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So maybe these people think that, like, because they're royalty, they're like descendants of gods or the god or whatever. I don't know. Like I don't know. But it's just like celebrities, people now with celebrities, people are always trying to like um rush celebrities to touch them. It's weird. So
Right.
weird.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think they captured that well, her feeling, because like it was showing it from like her POV kind of, and then it would cut back to all the people with their arms out, like, hey, like, right? It was kind of like, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're
But
like, get away from me.
filmography was great on that, yeah, because they're doing that whole scene where they're showing, like you said, the things coming and everybody trying to grab
Yeah,
her.
it was a really well shot
It was
scene
very
for sure.
well done,
Yeah.
and it's very in a very tight quarters too, which you start to see, and you don't realize like we're going through the castle like that, you know. And these guys are bringing like beautiful horses, man. You see these horses.
Also, we have so much history of bad things happening when they go outside of the King's Landing in those streets from watching Game of Thrones. And anytime they go outside the castle walls and they go like into the streets, and again, this is not at a time where they obviously grew to the point where they fucking hated like them with Cersei. This is a little bit different. They still kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, but anyways,
they're gonna hate them soon. Don't worry.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the turn in this episode, possibly, as we start to see, right? So next up here,
where do we go?
Rhaenyra is being told of what has occurred for the first time by her council. They start to do basically strategize about a possible attack.
Yeah, but she's in shock.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know, like why would I want that if my if I know what it already feels like?
Right,
and it does make sense.
And from the get-go, she's kind of like, I didn't sanction this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not the one who is responsible for this. Like, why would they think it's me? And they're kind of like, well, of course they're gonna. And then like her council also thinks it would be understandable if it was her, as they put it. They're like, well, you know, we would totally understand if that is. And she's like, I would never kill a child. Are you crazy? Like, what's wrong with you people, right? And she kind of gets enraged by that fact too.
But that whole time you got Damon there with that fucking that look, you know what I mean? He's just sitting around and, you know,
I love that look Rhaenys gave him. It was like Rhaenys looked over at him and knew exactly
what happened. Yeah,
he was the culprit. Like, you know.
Damon's sitting there with such a smug ass look on his face. He's just amused by all this, right? He's like, oh yeah. He's like literally
sitting there like a fucking.
I wanted to get the screenshot of that scene. I know. I just loved his smug look.
He's not even looking towards her. He's looking the other way. He doesn't even care. You know, he knows not to make eye contact.
But yeah, that's really what's going on in this episode. And then she basically goes to speak to him in private afterwards, after that scene where she catches him kind of looking like that. And he denies that he said to kill Jaehaerys. The plan was for Aemon the whole time.
Unfortunately,
and
make mistakes.
Yeah, and she doesn't believe him. This is kind of where they go down the rabbit hole of like her kind of like arguing the fact like that she now is questioning his support. You know, says that she knows that he wanted to be king before when her father was in power. Asks him if he supports her still. He kind of brings up the fact like, I'm literally going to war for you right now. Like, what is wrong with you? And she's like, you know, and then he gets up in her face and it looks like he's gonna hit her at one point. And so it's getting ugly really quick here. And basically
questions is loyalty.
Yeah.
Can I, like, I don't know, maybe like this is like the first time in the show where you see like contention, like not like angry, I don't care about you contention in a marriage in the show. Like, you know, but like, I don't know, this scene to me, I think went on a tad too long and it was a little boring.
This is one of the scenes that I was referring to when I said there was a couple of drawn out scenes. Absolutely. Because it kind of kept circling back to the same points of things we already know about the relationship with these characters, right? Like it's you're right. It was repetitive a little bit.
I think the other thing is it's like, you know, when you're on a stage performing like theater stage, or I guess in TV, but going back to my high school days and being in theater nerd. When you're
Back in the theater.
back in the theater, when you're doing your scenes, it's like the more movement that you do, it's like the more captivating you are to the audience. So it's like, obviously if you're having a regular argument with your spouse or your partner, like you're not pacing the room back and forth. You're literally on a couch, standing up, just bleh, like, just like right there. Like you're not pacing back and forth. You know what I mean? Like talking about these things. Like, so when they just kept moving and I'm just like, this is so not realistic. It reminded me so much of like, they're putting on a performance.
Right.
Like it took me right out of the scene because it was like, it just had such a theater like movement. Like you go here. When you say this line, you're by the chair. When you say this line, you're by the table. Like there's just, they just hit all these plot like points. And it's like, it took me right out of it. So I was paying attention, but I don't know, maybe the context, the whole thing. I'm just like, I don't know. Like
no, you're not wrong.
The context was really just about what, this is what was in the first season when the father, and she got the inheritance and stuff instead of him. Just they're just reiterating all the stuff from the, reminding you that, hey, are you still jealous? Is that the whole point? Is that the whole reason? Like it was drawn on a little too much. We didn't need to see that. I could have seen the bat to the head better than that. To be honest,
it was this part I felt like that drew on too long that I was referring to, and also a scene that's coming up in a bit when Kristen Cole goes to speak to Eric. That part took entirely too long for him to address him and actually tell him like what his plan was for him to go and kill Rhaenyra, because even that scene, like to your point, like it's actually, now you mention it, that's exactly what was going on, but I didn't really look at it that way. They're talking in one room, and then all of a sudden, I guess because he made it seem like, oh, we can't be seen talking here. Then he literally just walked down the hall, like they were
to the archway.
Yeah. I was just like, what was the point of that? Like he's like, let's go over here and talk now, and they just like walked over there, and I was just like, why? Right? Like, did you notice that? I was just like,
yeah, I did. I was like, where? It's not even like they went into a separate room and closed a door. They literally like walked 10 feet to the archway.
It's ridiculous. Someone walked by them and he's like, oh, let's go over here. And they literally just walked like a few steps.
But sometimes you gotta show the theater part of it. Like, I mean, it is really supposed to be a production.
Those sound stages are getting smaller.
Like,
let's walk over here.
I think this is like a perfect example, and we should make note, or I'm going to make note. I'm going to watch it, make note who the director is for this one, and like make note to see like if this is their style of directing.
Maybe it comes from the Shakespearean actor background or something.
The theater era.
Not the era, but like that type of the type of
it's like your boy. It's like your boy. What's his name? The captain on Star Trek, Captain Picard. He's and Sir Ian McKellen. They're both Shakespearean trained actors. Those guys, right?
But they just, they're forever right. Look at them.
These guys are a lot of English people on their show, so there's a good chance that a lot of these guys are Shakespearean people too.
Well,
right?
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the type of background most of these guys are. So,
but yeah, I did. It's funny that you said that, because that was my gripe about that scene. I was gonna bring it up, but it's exactly what you're saying. It was like they were like, okay, yeah, we've run out of room in this area, so let's walk over here and talk for another 5 minutes. And I was like, why do they keep talking about this? Like, we get it. Just drop it.
Like an aunt and uncle having a fight. An aunt and a niece having a fight.
Right. And that's, again, what this scene was. And getting back to that, she says, she says that her father couldn't trust him, and neither can she now. And she's basically going back to the fact that he always wanted to be king, and she's not sure about him. And mentions that, he doubles down, says it was a mistake. And then she's like, you're pathetic. Yeah. Which I thought was a good end to the argument. He just walks
she showed her balls, man. She said, you're fucking
as most partners, wives, girlfriends say to her, you're pathetic.
Oh, your poor husband must get that all the time.
How dare you?
One of the things I
use, right?
I use.
There you go.
My headphones are.
Rhaenyra meets with her daughter. Lyanna, I think, to spot and basically asked her to spy
Bela, isn't her
on
name
King's.
Bela?
Is that her
Yeah,
name?
Bela.
it's Bela. Bela is Damon's daughter.
There's 2 daughters, right? She has 2
Damon's.
daughters. No, I know they're Damon's, but he has 2 daughters,
Yeah,
right?
but that's Bela.
Bela and Rhaena.
I
Okay.
think Bela is the tougher one.
I wrote
She's
Leanna
she's
here.
the better-
I'm mixing up all the names here.
Oh,
Yeah.
Don't worry, man.
Yeah.
I've been doing that since. The
Okay,
beginning
so
of the
who is
series.
this?
Bela.
Bela. Okay, so Rhaenyra meets with her daughter Bela to spy on. She asked her to spy on King's Landing, basically to warn her of what they're doing, like to go on the dragon and kind of like keep watch of King's Landing and their goings on, because she needs to be ready if they plan an attack on them.
Yeah.
So, but she tells her, like, you've already kind of screwed up
Right.
or whatever. Don't make sure you don't get spotted, right? So
I like the line she uses in that, because Bela asks about her father, and she says he must follow his own path, right? Which, you know, is like fucking, like, I don't know. I'm waiting to see what happens between those two now, right?
yeah, because she passes by her in the him in the hall, and you know, questions like what he's up to, whatever, and he just ignores her and
Keeps
walks
walking.
off. Yeah. Then we kind of get a lot of quick scenes of showing basically how it's affected everybody, like how they are dealing with the loss of the child, essentially. Like we get kind of like a lot of quick, smaller scenes here from everything from as you mentioned, we get Aegon. This is the Aegon moving quickly past Elena in this scene.
Yeah.
We get Kristen Cole watching as they take away all of Jacaerys's things, like all of the bedding and all the bed and all that, was just kind of like sad to see all that kind of get like taken away so quick, right?
I remember he was just getting banged on that bed too before that. Sorry, I had to throw
He
that.
wasn't getting banged on the
That
bed.
was
That's the child's
bed that he
bed.
got killed in. That was the bed he got. The kid got in.
Okay. Sorry, they killed it. I messed up the 2 beds.
That's right. He was in Allison's room.
Yeah, sorry, my fault,
man.
Sorry.
And then you get a scene with Rhaenyra playing with her younger kids. It kind of cuts.
Cute.
Yeah, well,
sad but like cute at the same time.
Yeah, you get the music cues. You get like, you know, like showing how it's affecting everybody as they're looking at their own kids, and kind of like, you know what I mean? You're kind of, you know, they're trying to hit you in the feels here in this scene.
Oh, yeah, they are, man. They're fucking doing it. They're making you. They want you to tear up, but no, not me. I'm the man in this show. No, sorry.
Then you get Allison here in this next scene. She speaks to Kristen Cole and asks if he told anybody that about what they did, essentially, and she basically closes the door on him and makes him keep watch, you know, in this scene, and while she goes to take a bath, and they kind of both feel guilty about what they did here. It seems like he's kind of like, there's nothing I can do.
This is great.
As a result, yeah, go ahead.
By the second season, you know, you won't see them naked anymore. Now they're too big of actors now because they're on Game
That's
of
what
Thrones.
happened with Game of Thrones. I told you that's what happened with a lot of the actors.
I'm getting upset about this, man. Like, it took a while to see some titties in this one. I'm sorry, Christina, for being so rude. But yes, it did take a little while in this series, in this episode. But that's another gripe I have. But
we still have 6 more to go.
I know we do, but still, I don't think there's going to be much, man. I'm sorry. But it's just my feeling towards.
Hey, listen, I'm upset by it too. I mean, it's just extra.
There's probably a lot of people out there that are upset by that too, right? But
yeah,
we'll have to let it slide.
Well, maybe we'll get some male nudity.
Yeah, probably.
Hey,
they'll show it all though, and they'll show full frontal and everything. Like, I want to see his penis.
You see,
remind me how small mine is.
You see some quick boobs in the pleasure house scene. I think.
So
you
do.
You do.
I know. I wrote down first time.
Are we getting to that scene? Are we getting to that scene?
I will let you know. Don't worry.
Well, it is.
I have something I want to pop up on screen.
Okay.
Okay. For me.
So they both feel guilty, and this is the scene here where I mentioned that it went on entirely too long. This is where Kristen goes to speak to one of the brothers here. I don't know if it's Eric with an A or Eric, but it's
which one it is.
Yeah, his gold cloak is dirty, and he kind of walks up and gives him, you know, crap about it, kind of saying like, you know, as he's sitting there. Yeah, what's that?
No. I have 2 things I want to put up.
Okay. Yes. But he kind of gives him a hard time about this, but he's clearly just lashing out because he feels guilty about what has occurred. And he kind of asks him, "Where were you the other night?" He's like, "Where were you?" Right? He like throws it back in his face, or you get a little bit of that going on. And
you don't question your authorities in these.
And then he just goes on to question his loyalty because his brother betrayed them. He's like, how do I know you're not working with them and you're the one that allowed this all to go down? He's like, because I'm still here. Like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, I'm the one that didn't walk away. I'm here, like, defending you guys. Yeah, exactly. But then he's like, well, no. And he tries to make him feel guilty. He's like, now you're going to restore the faith by going to Dragonstone and killing Rhaenyra. This is when they go a few steps away, though, to discuss this. This is where they got
to move a couple steps away because they had to get away from the table. Then they had to get away from everybody eating, and everybody left. And after everybody left, they still had to move further down the street.
Right.
Like, really?
Yeah, to the awning, which is worse because that's where people are going to be walking in and out.
It's in a hallway.
Yeah.
In the middle of the fucking castle. Like, come on, man.
No, my favorite part about this scene, the memes. Oh man, I was dying.
Yeah,
I wanted to send you guys memes so hard, but I'm like, no, I can't. I
don't even know where to look for memes.
I don't.
You got to go on Instagram.
So
I'm not on Instagram
I know you're
as
not.
much, man. I can't.
No, this one.
You're gonna share your screen.
This one sent me. I was like, oh my god. But particular about this one. Yeah. Hold on. Let's see.
Throw it up here. Yeah, please share all the good memes that you see throughout these episodes.
I have two.
Yeah.
There's this one.
Let's see this.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's that SpongeBob one, yeah.
What is it at the top?
Sent me.
The white cloak is a symbol of our purity. Yeah. Because he's such a sniveling, like, yeah, he is. Kristen Cole's getting annoying, man. He's just like, such a weed. Such a weed.
Oh my god, I love that. Yes.
You called it though.
Fucking the queen.
She called it early on though. I was like, I didn't think he was that much of a ween before, but now he's starting to turn into a huge fucking ween.
He's a huge ween. He's so annoying.
That's what it is. Sure.
What else? You got the other one, or is it better to show later?
It's coming. It's for a next scene.
Okay.
I have another one.
Right. We'll keep that ready for us then.
You know, in the Eric and the Cole scene there too at the end, like at the end, I think this is another one of my little things. I had put an asterisk there beside it, but I think he's setting it up for Alicent, and he's hiding something. They're hiding something. I still think they're hiding something. I think that was a little hint at Cole, because I think he knows about
and who,
because remember he was in that room when the baby came in, when they came in with the baby, right? Now, which one they came in with is what I'd like to know.
Who do you think's in cahoots here, though? Exactly.
I think Cole's in on it.
With who?
No. I think with Alicent and stuff about hiding the kid.
No,
I'm thinking.
Wrong.
I'm still thinking.
All right.
I still think it.
All right.
For some reason in that part, I can't remember exactly why.
I think you're overthinking it is the problem.
after three or four.
Well, you know what? You can't blame him being a Game of Thrones fan. It's like you gotta just be suspicious of everything.
Yes, and you guys ruined me about that. Nico said in the beginning, I fucking heard it from Leslie. I heard it from you. So, like, at the end of the day,
trust nobody and nothing.
No, I do not trust it.
Well, listen,
I have a Scarface picture says, "Who do I trust?" Me.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. The only person I trust, man.
Oh boy.
Sorry.
No, it's listen. I hear you. I hear you.
Sorry.
If we get burned by that one, you're gonna be the only one that's right about this. We'll see how this all plays out. Right?
If I get burned by it, then I'm the only one that got burned.
But he questions his loyalty here, Kristen Cole, and about his brother, and says he must restore the guards the good faith by going to the Dragonstone and killing Rhaenyra by disguising as his own brother.
Honestly, clever.
Yes.
Like that was actually a brilliant plan.
I wrote down kind of brilliant. I literally wrote that down. I was like, you know what? That is kind of.
So you were the one that dies, right? Well, we both die at the end. But I mean, you're the one he's talking about in the scene right now.
I think Eric with an E is the one that's in Dragonstone. I think I might be wrong on that, but
okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. Even the main characters couldn't tell at the end of the day in this episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they were like Eric, I'm Eric. You know,
that was kind of brilliant, though. You're right. It was pretty cool. So great idea. I'll give it up to him for that at least. Then Jacaerys
shooting arrows
meets with which daughter's this now? Is this
that's Baela?
Baela again? Yeah. Okay. While she is practicing her crossbow skills, and they have a talk, and he basically says that he misses his brother in this scene, and they talk about his father who his actual father was, who died, obviously. And he, at the end of the day, though, he just basically says, because she's kind of like, what's going on with my father, like Damon, and they talk about fathers, and he's like, I think he loved me, his father, which was what's his name?
Arwen Strong.
Thank you. Yeah, and Larys's brother that he killed, and and then he basically just says, I miss Lucerys, like at the end of this scene, right? Which is like, again, we're just going around and seeing how everybody's dealing with this, right?
It's hard. I mean, it's your own brother, man. Like, fuck's sakes, like.
And we also have to remember, like, all of this happened within the last 2 weeks. Like, it's like the time is only 2 weeks. It's not like it's like years. Like, we waited 2 years for this, right? Like, so we're like thinking like, oh, it's been so long, get over it. No. It's like literally within 2 weeks, like 10 days. Like, it's not like,
I mean, the time jumps are totally different than it was in the first season or the Game of Thrones. Like, it's pretty pretty good.
And then this next scene, which I think this is where your other meme is going to come into play, possibly, is when we're with Aemon in the pleasure house, and as men used to do, he's confiding in the madame of the pleasure house here. It seems like she's the one that runs the show there, as we saw in that last episode when they were looking. Remember the first season when he's like looking for Lucerys?
It's the same one, the same madam.
Aegon.
Yeah,
same madam. Yeah.
Well,
so he's then with
he's keeping his
ladies of the
to his
night,
horse.
they confide in these women, though. That's part of it, right?
Oh,
so he's not even having sex with her in this moment.
Trust me.
She tries, and he's like, no, I'm good on that right now. Let me tell you about my problems. I was raw. Moment. He's like, I feel guilty about killing Lucerys. He's like in the scene, right? He's kind of like all snuggled up. He's got the eye patch off. He's exposed.
I felt, he was having it was like a mother-son moment, but it was a weird one. But it was like, but I mean, look, he's loyal to his horse. He stays, as he lost his virginity with that one. He's going to stick with that one. Mm-hmm. I respect him for that.
I do respect that he also feels guilt for what he did, because that was totally his fault. It's weird because
he lost control of his dragon. We know that.
It's funny. Yeah,
but it wasn't like, okay, if we go back, Lucerys's dragon actually struck first. He blew fire into Vhagar's face first. Yeah. So it's like Vhagar was just responding. And we have to remember, Vhagar is the only dragon of all these dragons that has seen war. She existed thousands of years ago, prior to whatever. So she knows what it's like to be at war. So any act like that, she's going to go back to that instinct. And so he can feel bad all he wants. He should feel bad for chasing him and trying to scare him. But he didn't, it's not like, they both lost control of their dragons for sure. But you couldn't have controlled what was going to happen.
That's why it played out.
The way they were fighting in that area and that whole scene back then, it was just, it was complicated to even know.
Do you got another meme for us here?
As we were watching it, Lewis looks at me and he's like, you know what he reminds me of? You remember when Harry Potter has the dream and he dies and he goes in, he sees a little Voldemort baby fetus curled up and whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, you're kind of right. Literally the episode ended within 3 seconds. I swear the internet is fast. So fast, and people are so clever. I'm scrolling through and there's this person I follow and I'm going through. She's like, oh, spoilers, spoilers. So I'm going through and I kid you not, this was one of the memes. I was howling on the floor, dying of laughter because hold on. What's going on here? It was wild. Share screen. Let's see.
I like these memes when I see them, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm
you don't get all the references.
So I don't get all the it's true because the guy was skinny.
He was curled up.
Skinny,
he was curled up
especially because the way he was curled up, his body actually looked a little deformed and malnutritioned. He needs your hip bone is more protrudy than a 12-year-old girl's. Come on now.
It was a weird angle.
Right?
And plus he had the eye exposed. It was it wasn't pretty, right? Yeah, but I guess that was him feeling vulnerable with this woman, right? So it makes sense.
Hence the inspiration for my name today.
She kind of holds him and goes,
yes, Aemon Demore. Now I get it. I was like, I didn't get it at first. I was like, what? Yeah, it's
wow. It took 1 hour and 9 minutes.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't know. I don't watch it. I don't know Harry Potter.
He
We
doesn't
should
know.
recap Harry Potter next,
No.
guys. Brilliant.
Don't
Stay
bring
tuned,
me,
everybody.
I'll call Christine on for that one.
don't bring me into that world. I don't need it.
I'll tag her
I don't
in.
need to know anything about hobbits.
That's not the right thing.
Okay,
Oh,
I don't
It's
know.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I don't know. See, I'm lost. See, fuck.
Hey,
Moving
that would
on.
be a good one.
Yeah, it would be.
Lord of the
It would be.
Rings, The Hobbit, Rings of
Yeah.
Power. Okay,
I would do
anyways,
those before I would do Harry Potter. But anyways, I actually
Moving on.
I've only watched the first like 3 episodes of that show. I didn't finish it.
I think I've watched 7 out of the
Okay,
10.
see, I didn't finish it. It was interesting though. Actually, I did like the show. But anyways, yeah, stay tuned for that one.
Yeah.
Then there's a scene with that blacksmith. And is his kid sick? Is that what's going on in this scene? Yeah,
I
and
think so.
And there's talk about like he has trust in the king to come through with this them solving their issues that they're having with him, like with the turrets and stuff like that. But the woman isn't very like she doesn't believe that. It seems like her. I guess that's his wife. I don't know. They didn't really
trusted. They said they were going to give him, they were going to
He-
make it better. Or,
But
you
he
know,
has
promise
trust
him, yeah.
in the king, but she does not. And
Is that who he was, the blacksmith?
yeah, that's the blacksmith.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It threw me off because it was just a quick scene, and
Yeah, it was a quick one.
she had to pay double what it cost her for the chicken at the market.
Right. Well, that's why I kind of wanted
Kinda
to
like what we're going through.
check with you guys if that's what you got from the scene, because he talked
Oh.
about the kid being sick, and then it was like, yeah, I think that's what's going on. She doesn't have much faith in the crown, and he does, and I mean?
This is exactly what people are alluding to with like the battle with the small folk.
Mhm.
This is like a buildup. Remember last
They're losing faith
episode,
in them. Yeah.
Well, because you're seeing
he's meeting
a lot of what'd you say, folk? What do you call them again?
small folk.
Small folk. Yeah, you're seeing a lot of them in this episode too, as well. A lot
Because
of
I think it's a
like-
huge part of the story, like next.
Mhm.
So I don't know what's gonna happen, but like they're building it up. Like they're showing little bits and pieces of like people's like experiences with the crown.
I didn't make that connection. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like episode 1, they're like he has the small folk come in and like plead their cases, and he's like, "Oh, I'll give you back your sheep. Oh, I'll give you your gold. I'll repay you." And everyone's thinking, "Oh, a merciful king. Oh, thank you, my king." Now this episode, they obviously have a sick child that requires nourishment and whatever. And I have trust in the king. He's a great and
Yeah, you're right.
prosperous king, and he'll give it. There's something that's going to happen that's going to be like, nope, we can't double the taxes, this, that, whatever, and it's going to cause chaos.
Surprising.
Oh,
yeah.
You got to think about it. I mean, when you think about it, if that's the blacksmith, that's the guy who we promised already the money
That's right.
to back in
That's
the first
right.
episode.
So maybe the blacksmith
But
is going to
doesn't
turn.
matter.
Maybe he's going to start selling his.
Well, we even
like,
commented on it. Like that was when he was trying to be everyone's friend last episode, right? But then
Now
Otto
he's
kind of
gone
had a
psycho.
bit like, exactly. And now his mind is on other things. Now he just wants to wage war, right? And so yeah. And then there's another scene coming up this episode when they do hang all the rat catchers. That's where it's a big turning point, right? And that
Poor dog, man.
no, but like again, the people did not like that because he's like, those are people's sons and brothers and family. Otto like freaks out at him. He's like, you don't understand. Like these people are going to be, you're losing your support, you idiot, right? Like that's the whole
You don't see
yeah.
the big picture.
Yeah, you were ahead, and now you've
Right.
literally taken 2 steps back.
You took all the work that I basically had to do to spin this whole ordeal to make it seem like a bad thing and that people wanted to support you. And now you look like the bad guy again. That was the whole thing, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Actually, that's a good point, Christine. I didn't see that with the blacksmith angle. That's a good point. Yeah.
I think it was you though. Like when we discussed last episode, you're like, I think this blacksmith is going to have a bigger point
We
in
both
this
mentioned,
show.
Yeah, but I didn't.
I think-
I didn't realize this scene though, like because it was such a like you said, like a throwaway kind of fast scene. Like I didn't realize that is him kind of thinking one way and then the wife thinking the next, and that could be again some of the support they're going to lose in that regard. And he depends on this guy.
Yeah.
He depends on this guy for the weaponry for the dragons.
Yeah.
That's going to backfire.
Yeah.
That's going to blow up in his face probably. Yeah. So that's a good point. That is an important part. Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll
We'll have to
see.
we'll have to keep in mind. Keep that in mind.
Uh,
What'd you say? Put
Put a pin in that for
put a
later.
pin in that for
Yeah.
later.
Okay, so next up we got Alan here. He meets with his brother. I guess this is his brother in this scene, and
Yeah.
he mentions that he heard that Lord Corlys had thanked him for saving him in battle on the battlefield, and basically asks him if he's going to be taking advantage of the opportunities that he has now that he owes him. Basically,
he owes us, he said too, as well. So I'm wondering, the other guy has the dreadlocks too. So I'm wondering, hey, maybe.
But he has a fleet of boats, is what he says. He's like, if you want boats, I have boats, and like you should like go and take this opportunity. He's like, if you were on the battlefield like I was, you wouldn't be saying like you wouldn't be wanting to rush back into what I saw out there. Yeah. So like and he's kind of like, hey, tell me about this stew. Like,
that actually makes a good point too. That about the small folk, because I mean the ships too, right? They hold the power with the ships. They have
the Valerians do. The Valerians.
Yeah. So I mean, like,
they have the fleet.
So I mean, where's it all gonna and correlate with stuff that goes on with the waters, right, and stuff like that. So what's his name? Corliss.
Yes,
right.
Lord Corliss.
Yeah, so we got to see what happens when everything shit runs down. Everybody's up in the air right now, right? Like, so we don't know where it's all going. So this is fun to watch because it keeps you on your
for sure,
right? It keeps you. I mean, that's what I said. It makes you watch it 3-4 times, man, because you want to see what the hell is going on.
Christina, anything else about that?
I didn't pay any attention to that at all.
No.
That's why she seems like she's like interesting.
Yeah, I'm just like, what?
What did he say? Did the stew have any what in it?
Carrots or something?
I thought he said cats, bro.
Why would this? Well,
I swear he said. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, cats. It could have been, bro.
People ate cats. Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. Like,
it's
not like a time where like vegetables are plentiful.
Then this next scene, you see Corliss speaking to his wife there, Rhaenys, about Daemon and basically the way things are playing out, and basically he's talking about whether or not they have confidence in him, like the way he's assessing the situation and going about things. And Rhaenys kind of thinks that she has an upper hand and things to deal with, and her involvement and everything, right? There's a little discussion about that here, because they're talking in bed, right? Post-coital conversation.
He's like, he misses these.
That's right.
Well,
the bed's at
cuddling.
sea. Bed's at sea. You know what I mean? He needs to get it on, right?
One was cuddling with a whore, and one of them was cuddling with a whore in this episode. The other cuddles with his wife. There you go, done and done.
There you go. That's sweet.
It's so sweet.
Yeah. Rhaenyra now in this next scene speaks to Mysaria, which let's get a what do you think of the accent in this scene? I think she's got a handle on it.
It like disappeared.
Yeah, right? It was weird. Right through, I didn't even know it was her.
It's like
the accents, no, there's an accent there still, but it's one.
It's
one like, accent. Yeah, it's not like 3 different accents like she was doing before.
It wasn't like she was like
Yeah, I told you, she's reined it in. She's got a handle on it. They were probably like, "What are you doing with this accent?"
Go home and practice. Seriously, like go home and practice.
They saw the forums. They're like, "Listen, you're killing out here.
We'll kill you off. It's easy.
Yeah, you're killing you out here.
We'll replace you. Yeah. You're replaceable."
Yeah.
Well, I was just trying to pretend that my character was from 3 different regions. Yeah, cut that shit out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the director's notes. Exactly. I'm going to make note of this director for those 2 reasons.
Yeah.
The plot points and arguments or long conversation scenes, and like Mysaria's accent.
Yeah. So yeah, I wasn't really present here. She had an accent, but it was just the one accent.
You ever think that accent she tried to play because she's trying to make it talk with everybody to get information?
No. I looked it up. Like this is her. You know how like actors have like sometimes they come in with their own like I'm gonna create a backstory for this character, right? That's what she did
in their head.
So she was like, "Oh, this character's from she was from one region, then she lived in another."
Well, she did, right?
Right. Yeah. So she's traveled.
Yeah.
This is part of the character. Yeah, absolutely. She talks about it in this scene.
Yeah.
So that was her idea behind it, but it just didn't work. It was a weird mishmash of accents, right? We all talked about it. Then I looked it online after we recorded that episode. And we all commented on it when we did the rewatch of season 1, and it is like a thing people all comment on. Apparently, the fans this is not just us making a joke about it. Like this was a thing that was talked about amongst fans.
Do they comment that she's had this belly now for a little while because she played it off like she was pregnant, right? At one point, but she has this little.
I didn't catch that.
Well, you'll see it later when she's walking. She walks down to the ship.
Maybe she was pregnant. I don't know.
But it's just weird. It has almost like a little, like when you're starting to be pregnant. She's maybe that's why she's been able to play it off for so long.
Right.
So I don't know.
But she speaks to her here, and she's currently still their prisoner thanks to Daemon there, and she asks what part she played in all of this, and she confesses that she helped Daemon kind of like arrange the killing of the son, and or at least finding the people to do it. And in this scene, she kind of asks her who she is. She doesn't really remember who she is. And then she's like, and then she starts looking at her. It's like, oh, now you remember me. Cause she was young when she met her for the first time and Daemon brought her around. Right. And then she's like, oh, now you remember me. And you know, and then you kind of learn about her and her difficult past. And it seems like Rhaenyra, when she learns all this about her and how kind of Daemon did her wrong and how she makes a comment about how it relates to her and how she's a woman is how I kind of thought, like the point she was trying to make. And she says that she'll never be accepted by the men around her in her life. And she's like, I might as well have just stayed a whore. Yeah. And I think Rhaenyra kind of takes that information to like, they're kind of both going through the same sort of thing, just on opposite. You know what I mean?
She's like, I can help you, but she's not really throwing it out there that I can help you. She's tweaking it into saying to Rhaenyra, saying, I can help you because I can get that information. So, because she mentions the high tower, she mentions,
like, is that what you got from this scene too, Christina? Was that like that's what she was trying to like kind of like, I guess like the point that like she was trying to make, and I think that's why Rhaenyra kind of took pity on her afterwards, right? Like because of this, or.
I have no comments.
Daemon said he was going to offer her the freedom.
By this point, no, honestly, like by this point of the episode, I was just like, I just was like,
we're on season 1 again.
So that's kind of my interpretation of it, anyways, because when she kind of was like, no, that's okay. No, well, you know, that's
my fault for rushing us to do it today.
You felt that was the case too, though, right? Like that's what she was trying to like the point that she was trying to make. Right? And then I think that's why Rhaenyra, I think, let her go later on. Is because of the fact that not only that, it's because of what she said to her, like how she'd been wronged by all these men.
I think there's a line she says, Rhaenyra does say later that when she does let her go, when she's walking before she walks down.
Right. But there's even in this scene, she says like, oh yeah, where's Daemon? And she's like, oh, he left for a week or two, or who the hell knows. And she's like, he does that, doesn't he? And she like looked into like, she like kind of like zones out and she looks at her, and that's when she figures out who she is. She's like, oh, now you remember me. Right. Like, and she's like, oh, you would know what he's like. She's like, how would you know what Daemon's like in this scene? Right. So I think she's able to relate to her a little bit more because of that. Right. So
I think that's why she let her go.
Yeah.
Ultimately. I think it's more like
Daemon's put you through enough, like, right? I think it's more that because she's like, you were pregnant last time I saw you. That's what she's like. She
still has that because she goes something about that. She mentioned something about that, right?
But that was it's just for show at that point. Remember, because he didn't want to be with his wife that he killed, the one that they foisted on him. Right. The bitch of the north, or whatever the fuck he called her. I forgot what he called her.
Remember.
Anyways. Then you get a little brief, some dragon action for like a second. You see a dragon fly overhead with Alan's brother kind of looking at it as he's fishing crabs.
Yeah, that's a teaser spoiler for something. Like, you know, what the hell does that mean? Is he going to be a dragon rider?
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe.
No, fuck that. I think that's Daemon flying overhead, man. What's wrong with you?
Throws your theory.
Daemon had already left.
He's like,
they were just talking about it. And
fuck that.
Daemon's around, man. He's gone.
Sorry.
He's the first one on.
I didn't realize JP was the only one allowed to have a theory on this episode.
The way he just disregarded your theory.
I want to know what it's like to take off on a dragon like that. It must feel like a fucking.
He's trying to soften the blow now.
No, it's serious. I don't think that's what it was about. I think it was just like, okay, there's a dragon in this.
We'll see if your theory holds out, and we'll see if mine does. Let's have that.
Yeah, let's do
dueling theories. Here we go.
I'm down.
Take out your lightsaber. Jay.
Yeah.
Your sword. No.
And then this next scene here, we get to see the common folk all freak out because they found all of the rat catchers hung in the square for all to see. Including Cheese, the guy who was responsible, but because they didn't actually know which rat catcher was responsible, we find out in this next scene when Otto kind of comes to give Aegon crap about it, is that since they didn't know, they just killed all the rat catchers. So he essentially killed a bunch of innocent men who had nothing to do with it just because he couldn't find the killer. Because even Otto points out, like, yeah, look at all the innocent men you killed, and the one who was responsible. Yeah.
I felt bad for the dog. This is the one I felt bad for the dog because the dog was actually there while the other guy was hanging there.
But that just shows you how fucking stupid and loyal dogs are.
He
Yeah.
kicked that dog too.
Yeah,
That-
he
yeah,
did. Dog, and the
Yes,
dog's
he
sitting
did.
there.
Not him. The other guy.
The
did.
rat catcher's dog.
Yeah, but
He booted him last episode. what are you
but
talking about?
They're showing the rat catcher there hanging.
Yes, that's
He's
the
not
dog
the one
he
who
kicked.
No, his buddy kicked him.
No,
there.
it was
No, it was
him.
the rat
It was
catcher.
the rat catcher.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what
But
I mean.
that's what then the dog still okay.
But that's they're loyal, like
Yeah.
she said. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I thought
Stupid
it was
and
the other guy
loyal
that kicked him.
dogs.
It was too fast for me.
But this is honestly like, other than the end here, this is probably my favorite scene of the episode is when Otto comes here and gives him all this crap in this scene about how everything he's doing is wrong and all the work that he's put in personally to make the perception of like what had happened, the personal tragedy that has occurred, and how he's losing the people as a result of him making this rash decision. And just the final line of when he's like, your father was right about you. And him just this whole freaking out and getting him to throw the Hand of the King badge at Kristen Cole, and him wanting to give it to Kristen Cole, which is insane. Like, Kristen Cole does not have the experience that this guy has. And this guy has not gotten exiled once. He's gotten exiled twice now from that role. I just want to point this out. He's kind of like, I'm out of here after this episode again. Twice now Otto has been exiled. I just want to point that out. Don't forget, twice he's been kicked off of Hand of the King. Right. But go ahead. What you really think like he has because I felt like he actually has the care of the realm in mind in this scene. You think this is all like you think it's genuine, or you think he's playing it up, Jay?
I think I think he's when he's yelling, he's mad because he has it under control, is basically what he's saying. Is they had it under control until he's gonna go fuck it up. Right. And I don't think they're telling him everything. Aegon, right? I don't think they are. I still feel like they're holding something back. There's always something juicy shows hold back, right? I feel like they're holding it back. And yeah, he's freaking out because he is angry because he fucked everything up. Because like you said, they were a step ahead. Now they're a couple steps behind, right? So that's gonna fuck them up. What did I got here? And then I think what did he call him? It's time to fuck it. It's time to kill.
Called him a fool.
Bitch. No, well, yeah. Then he's like, yeah, but he was like, it's time to make that bitch queen pay or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's what Kristen Cole calls her. But then he does. He says, you know, he basically mentions
blood, not ink.
Well, he mentions his, yes, that's right. But he mentions his father, and then he's like, yeah, he's like, I'm not my father. He's not around anymore. And he's like, yeah, and we're the poorer for it.
Yeah, we're the poorer for
and
it.
he says, and that's when he says, like, but he's like, he was right about you. And he's like, he made me king. And he starts laughing, this evil. I was like, he's like, is that what you think? He's like, you moron, right? Like, I loved it. It was just, he's the MVP of this episode. There is, what's the actor's name again?
Reese Irfin.
Killed this scene. Like, he was just excellent the way he acted.
Facial expressions,
he's like, like you said, calling him a fool. Excellent.
Yeah, this was a great episode.
Like my grandfather yelling at me, or he just felt like somebody putting me in my place. He did a good job acting in this role, in this scene. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, he sold it. He sold it that he actually believed that what they were doing was right, that he destroyed everything that they built up, all the good faith. It's true. And he's like, this is just the start, kind of. And then, and as a direct, retaliation against everything he's saying, he literally, tells him to take off the badge, and he just throws it, doesn't even hand it to Kristen Cole, because he's like, screw this, I'm out of here. He's like, you idiots, like, you're making a big mistake right now.
Children,
right?
What did he say? He said they're more of kids than they're thinking like kids. They don't think of the long term.
And then he says, like, he will make better decisions than your old ass, essentially, like this old man or whatever. And he's like,
100 of these old men.
My hand will now be a steel fist. That's what he says about Kristen Cole. The Kristen Cole's got like some weedish look on his face. He's like, really, me?
Maybe they're gonna cut off Kristen Cole's fist and make it steel. Like
It's true though. After he throws, like he looks at him, even he's not sure. He's like,
He's like, what?
Yeah,
Me?
he's like, give it to Kristen. Kristen. He's like, Sir Kristen. He's like, really? Like he's like, I think he's like, I think you're making a mistake.
Yeah. He's like, really? I'm fucking your mom, dude. Like seriously, if I get caught after now, I'm in trouble.
Right. So yeah. So good stuff. Good scene. That's not my favorite scene of the episode.
Oh man.
Then this next scene, Rhaenyra offers Mysaria freedom. As we mentioned, I think she was just kind of felt bad about what she'd been through with Daemon. Despite not trusting her, and she makes that clear. But it kind of helps her out because as she's leaving to shore, she's the one that noticed that the twin coming up, off the boat, was none other than the other twin, Eric's twin. So she's like, hold up. And we don't actually see her do it, but because the other Eric bursts through the door to fight him in that last scene when he's about to kill Rhaenyra, he pulls out his sword. Rhaenyra doesn't even know what's going on. She just thinks it's Sir Eric. Turns out it's the other Eric. And as he goes to attack him, it's brother versus brother as he busts through the door. And I guess what we're meant to think is she noticed, told him, and he rushed there to save her in that last. So she really, actually, that really helped her karma, right? Like she helped her out. And then she was able to notice. She could have just.
She told him, because
no, for sure she told him.
She told him. She told him.
But I thought somebody passed each other weirdly in the hallways. They passed him weirdly in the hallways.
But he didn't. He wasn't noticed that when they even referred to him as Eric. Like he wasn't caught on. Like
there was a little scene where he got noticed by somebody.
No, it's because of her
guards, right?
It's because of
the
Mysaria.
one guard that was at the door let him in. Like knew it was Eric, and he told him to go, right?
Yeah,
to go for a walk.
What do you think of the final showdown here, Christina? Did you think it was a good fight in terms of Game of Thrones battles as we've seen?
I think it could have been a little better, but I mean, yeah, I loved how it was like, well, who's who? Like which one is which?
That's the best part about it. Yeah.
I did find it a little bit like if Rhaenyra was really like fearful of her own life, there were so many opportunities that she could have like ran out of that room.
Yeah.
So it was kind of just like, why is she like cowering like in this space that that they're gonna go to? I don't know. Like it was like, again, it was more like she was in. I don't know. I didn't mind it. Again, I didn't mind it. I thought it was great, a little predictable, but at the same time, I don't know. I think it was missing something. There was something it was missing.
I agree with you. I do also think it. And to be honest, yeah.
And the fight was just quick too.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything crazy.
I'm actually more surprised that it actually happened in this episode because I thought that was going to be something that they were going to draw out for the season at least, right? Like we even referred to it as the new Mountain versus, you know what I mean? Like I didn't think it was going to be that big of a thing, but because even that one was quick too. If you think about that last episode, right? That whole fight, it was so built up, and then really it didn't last that long. The Mountain and the Hound.
But fights last that long like that? Sword fights?
No, that's true. No, I mean, like, listen,
somebody's gonna get hurt, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I think Christina hit on it though. I think the most interesting part about the fight was by the end of it, even when you saw the victor. She didn't know whether to go over there because they actually didn't know if it was actually the Eric. Because Buddy, who comes to help her, that's part of the Kingsguard, is like, which one's Eric? And she's like, like I don't know, right? And like it's scary because even when he killed him and he fell to the ground, and he's like, he says, oh yeah, whatever. He addressed her. Yeah, he's like, please forgive me. And she's like, oh, Eric. Like but they were standing there like waiting. Like she didn't know if she could even go over him because she's like, is that him? And then it turns out it was, but he fell on his own sword because he killed his brother. He had shame that he killed his own brother. So
was
he took
it
his
him?
own life. Yeah, that was him. Why would he say my queen
because
or whatever?
Forgive me.
Yeah.
Because maybe he just he was the one that was sent there to do this, and he didn't want to do it. He stopped at the end because he technically, I don't think he really.
That could be true. That could be true. I just think the fact that
it was the same guy from Dragonstone.
That could be true. King's Landing.
I think if it was the guy from like King's Landing, he would have tried to slay Rhaenyra, and then he would have like killed himself for killing his brother because he was there to do a job, right? Like he was there to do a job, and he was. I think he was the one. I think it was the one that was with Rhaenyra.
Also, he addressed her as like his queen,
queen
or something like that. After that's the only reason I feel like it was him. and he asked for her forgiveness. Like, why would he ask for her forgiveness if it was the other guy? You're right, though. We don't know for sure. I mean,
That's
it
what I
was,
mean. I keep being that fucking guy.
You're
that
second
was,
guessing.
No,
yourself.
but I keep being that guy that's like, fuck that. I'm gonna fucking think, because these guys are really fucking.
Well, that's good. You're having fun with it.
Yes, because they keep fucking they fucked with me a whole Game of Thrones. Now they're fucking with me at House of Dragons. So I don't like when
Game
people
of Thrones
fuck with
was
me.
fun because and I feel like we
Especially
really
when I can't get a grip on the story. Like if I want to know for sure that that's what it is.
you really should thank us for not spilling
No,
the beans on
because-
so many things on Game
There's
of
another
Thrones,
thing-
though. What are
I
you
know,
kidding
did.
me?
You guys, no,
we,
but you had
we did a
there's
pretty
couple,
good job.
There was a couple people that tried to fuck.
I wasn't the one that told you that
no.
Jon Snow died. It was your brother.
That
And then the best part about that was he does, but then he comes back to life.
Yes.
Which
But there's another one. Before we get into this last scene, I just want to tell you guys that did you think of anything when he picked up? Because when Alan's brother there was going through the sand and he seen the dragon, I forgot. This is what I wanted to mention on that point. And
go ahead.
I'm going back, guys. But does anybody think that? Does anybody think to wonder why? Okay, he was probably looking for clams, right, in the sand.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's what he's looking for. But when he picked up the crab, did you ever think to have a thought that they thought they got all the crabs, the crab guy from the crab, and you didn't see them a while, and then all of a sudden he's looking at that too? You ever think that might come back and bite them in the ass?
Because that was pretty quick. I mean, well, they were at war for years. We just didn't see it.
But there's still a triarchy somewhere. I don't know if they're completely gone, right? Like, and this is where I feel like we do know something
takes out the Valerians as well, right?
Little people, or whatever you call them. Sorry, little people. The poor people there. Like, what do we call them? I keep forgetting.
Small folk.
Small folk. That I hate saying small folk, but they just say poor people.
Well, how about this? Think of this. Remember in Game of Thrones, there's the in that region now, there's that affliction where they turn into stone men.
Yes, you see. So there's a lot of different things. That's like the shell becoming part of the people, right? So it's weird, man. It's
so what we know of that region in the future is that those stone men live there, but we don't know what. Like, I remember Tyrion talked a little bit about it when they're on the boat. Him and what's his name there, Daenerys's Jorah. Yeah. So
I know it's so weird.
I guess I
don't know what
you
was
want
better
the gaps
now.
filled in. I get it
because I watched the season 1. Remember House of Dragons? Then I went back, watched all the Game of Thrones. Okay,
I love it. You're loving it.
This first season again.
It's great.
And then came on now live.
You gotta come. You gotta come for the same energy every episode.
Fuck, I love it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe being here in studio, guys, is helping.
Yeah, you seem way more energetic.
Well, I'm loving it, man. I can't see shit right now, but I'm having a.
Don't encourage him. I don't want this guy over here. No, I'm just joking. All right.
I do it in the middle of the summer. Out of all times,
I know. So this sweatbox room we got going here. Okay. And then finally here, unless Christine, there's anything else you want to add to that?
This is a great scene.
I think that scene with Eric and Rhaenyra should have been the last scene, end the episode.
Yeah.
Finito, like done. This next scene, like I don't even like, it's just like whatever. Like this is just so dumb and like pointless. Like I don't know why.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they had to throw it in there.
Not really. We already
got.
They
didn't have to.
No,
they could have thrown it in before the Rhaenyra Eric scene. Like
you wanted to see Daddy go cry to his daughter, right? Like, come on.
I do want to mention during the fight though, there was a really great move that one of them pulled where they tore the flesh of the wound on their leg. That was brutal.
That was awesome.
He like literally like had him down and he like went and like grabbed his like leg. There was a wound on his leg, like a cut, and he put his hand like in the wound and like pulled on it. Oh,
yeah, like he grabbed
yeah. I just gotta say that was a sick move. That
like, was sick.
That
was pretty good.
I felt painful watching. It felt painful watching it. I was like, oh. Okay, so then like Christina, I agree with you, by the way. I don't think this was needed, but especially the last part. But Otto speaks to Alicent about the mistake.
I even forgot Otto went to see her.
This is okay. Yeah, this is okay. It's the last thing. I think you're right, it was not needed, but Otto ends up speaking to Alicent about the mistake that Aegon has made, and he mentions basically that he's leaving again. He's been exiled, and well, he could stay. He hasn't been exiled, but he's like, there's no point in me being here. Yeah, he's like, I'm out of here.
Gotta be put in check,
man. And then she tells him that she has sinned because I think she wants to tell somebody about what her and Kristen Cole have been up to. And he basically says, I don't want to hear any of it. Like, and then just leaves it at that.
because you know what? It's actually a smart thing to say because it's not just as a father,
Right.
but I mean, as now not being part of any side, he doesn't want to know anything because they're having an argument whether he should go to Hightown, and he was talking about to go back to I guess where all the horrors are. I think that's where he was talking originally first about like what did he say? He said
Old Town.
Old Town, yeah. But
And
don't
then-
you think it would have been worse though, knowing that Kristen Cole is taking his place and then hearing about the fact that he's with Allison, right?
Yes. So
So
But it's
I-
not going to
maybe he
change
already knows.
anything. Like
Maybe
for
he
him, it's
already
not going
knows.
to change anything.
maybe
in
he
his head,
knows.
maybe
I
he
think you're
knows
right.
secretly.
Maybe he does know. That's why he's like,
He's
I don't want
supposed
to.
know a lot,
And
right?
he's like, I don't want to hear about it. I think it's
Yeah.
more like, I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, I
And he
don't wanna
knows
hear
what
about
it
your
is.
encounters,
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point.
Can I?
This- yeah.
Can I bring something up that he says in this scene that like I'm a little ticked off about? Well, not ticked off about, but just a little confused.
Okay.
So, okay, it's not a secret, like to people who read the books and who know the backstory, that Viserys and Alicent have 4 children. But this whole series, they are only alluding to the fact that they have 3 children,
Yeah.
which are Aegon, Aemond, and Helena, right?
Yeah, so
But
think
like
about
they
what
have
said.
a fourth child named
Think about what
Daron.
said.
Yeah.
They have a 4th child named Daron. That this episode is the first time they make mention of it. That he's in Old Town, and it's like, why has nobody like
No,
talked
that's
about
not
this
the right
before?
kids, though. That's
It's okay. It doesn't matter.
no,
Don't
yes,
worry,
it
they're
does.
hiding.
That's King Aegon's kids, not these. Those are Allison's kids she's talking about right now, not his.
Well,
Your point is lost. Okay, like yes, you're right. I didn't even think about that, Christina. That's a good point. Why
Like,
is he
why all
forgotten?
of a sudden, like you know,
Yeah.
is he gonna come? Like, is he gonna be like
Your
play a
bastard.
bigger role? But it's like,
Maybe.
why couldn't they mention him? Even just mention him, or even show Alicent with 4 children,
Right.
like back in the day, or at some point like just show her sending him away or something, so that we know in the back of our heads that there is another one. Because if I didn't Google anything or know any backstory about anything, because there was somebody, I read a review of episode 1, and somebody made a mention of like them having a 4th child, but like I guess they're omitting this person, like just on purpose. Like they're omitting Daron's character on purpose because he doesn't have a role or something. Now he's
What is he?
being brought up.
Well, there was a Stark that was the same way. Let's not forget, right?
is it a
Who?
bastard or is it?
One of their kids was largely forgotten about in the Game of Thrones. The other not the
Rickon?
Bran. Yeah, Rickon was a very minor character of that show. Like,
But at least you knew he existed.
yeah, but I
Right
mean,
from the get-go too. Like right from like episode 1, you knew he
his
existed.
character's just talked about in name only. Yeah, no, that's a good point.
For the first time to date, like in this episode.
How
Yeah.
Like
old
it
is
just
he?
doesn't make sense. He's younger than Aemon. So it's Aegon is first, then Helena is second, Aemon is third, and then Daron is the 4th one.
Maybe they're trying to leave him in play for him to pop up somewhere down the line, though, too, right? Maybe they're trying to keep his character in their back pocket for later, or there's just no room for him. I don't know.
Because I'm thinking even like in season 1, you know, when they're all kids, like,
Yeah.
and they're all like playing, like before he gets shipped off to Old Town, like to hold the High Tower place guard for his father, for his grandfather, for his mother, like all of that. Like, why don't they show him as a kid, like in the dragon pit when they give Aemond the dragon, like, or the pig? Like, why don't they? I don't understand why they didn't do this, and now they're gonna bring him in.
Yeah. I
That's
don't
very
know.
confusing. That's so confusing to the audience.
Yeah,
and
why
like,
even mention him at all if they have no plans for him, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Or maybe they're like, hey, we haven't forgotten about this kid,
Yeah,
right?
wait till there's somebody that's a certain age. I'm gonna say it. Like, they're gonna use them somehow, man.
oh,
It's
Oh, fuck
possible.
off.
It's possible. It's possible.
It is.
That's
There's
more
a lot of
likely.
time.
That's more likely than your other theory. I'll give you that.
Because
Yeah.
look, and say because maybe you can't bring him back as a kid, but you can wait a little longer. You know,
It all goes back to the tree.
fucking all goes back to the tree. We're gonna see this.
he's gonna come out. He's gonna be birthed from the tree.
Hey, the tree is gonna come to life.
Maybe this kid is gonna be the guy who talks at the tree. The that what's his name?
Maybe
Three-eyed
he is.
raven.
Maybe
The
he
raven,
is
yeah.
the three-eyed raven. Maybe he's the other. Oh, fuck. Don't even make me
Let's
start
not go
thinking
down
of
that road. We gotta
these
wrap.
There's too many theories.
We gotta
here.
wrap
Yeah.
it up here.
You can come up.
And then finally, this stupid scene at the end. Alicent walks in the room to
Fucking
see
horse, sorry.
Aegon crying alone,
I know,
and
after
then she's like, "I'm backing out of the room now."
Yeah.
She's like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
she's
this-
like she Homer Simpsoned into the hedge.
she did Nico's fucking She did Nico's fucking. That's his gift.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
That
yeah.
one or the old man going
or
in
or
and out.
grandpa walking into the pleasure house.
Yeah.
That's where he's in. Yeah, that's for that episode where they open up the burlesque house or whatever. Yeah, that's right. There's a scene. There's another gif of grandpa when he walks in and Bart's working the front counter. He's like, "Hey, grandpa," and he like puts his hat down and like puts it back on and walks back out.
Those are Nico's two favorite gifts.
Yeah, the bush is
When
my
he stirs
favorite
it up
for
in
sure.
the chat.
Yeah. And then you get this Alicent, then she backs out of the room, goes back to her chambers to find Kristen Cole creeping in her bed, and then he proceeds to get slapped and they have some rough sex.
Oh yeah, dude,
Yeah,
he was getting slapped nice, man. I was loving it. I was like, yeah, come on, baby, give it to me. I would have took those slaps, no problem, if I got a piece of that, Alicent. I mean, I'm telling you right now, she's
I'm
hot.
so disappointed.
She is, yeah.
And who, me or the show?
Show.
Yeah, I think we didn't need another Kristen Cole hooking up with Allison scene at the end. I agree with Christina.
So dumb.
Especially we're not seeing
And then
much,
especially,
Jay.
but no, especially after all this has been taking place, and you're talking about how you've sinned, and if anybody, if he's told anybody, and you want to tell your daddy about how you sinned.
No, but do this
and then-
scene before
Give
but
me a finger.
Christina's right though. Do that scene before the final fight.
I know.
There was no connection between one's in King's Landing, one's in Dragons. They really could have. Oh, actually, no. Sorry. Yeah, they really could have kept those separate and did it the other way around.
Yeah.
It would have made more sense.
And it just would have ended better.
No, she's
Like-
right. I agree with Christina. I mean, it's dumb.
But they're still gonna do a soft porn ending.
Season 2, episode 1. No, season
One.
1, episode 10 ended with Lucerys being chomped out of the sky. Fabulous ending, right? I mean, oh yeah, okay. And then there was the Rhaenyra scene of her with the face. Okay,
First
fine.
episode
Perfect.
of this season.
Like this child is getting his head chopped off. Perfect way to end the scene.
This
Like,
one,
great.
Allison and Kristen are hooking up.
Non-stop,
Ooh.
baby.
Come on, like it's
Getting
just
jiggy with it.
No,
I
she's
don't know.
right. That's a lost opportunity. They really should have landed on like literally him, the view
Falling
of
on the
landing
sword.
on the sword, cut the black. Right? That would have been so much better. No, I 110% agree. It's just
Yeah, they could have dealt with the auto thing next season, like the next episode.
instead you got like a slap and he's like, ah.
give me another one.
Yeah. I'm a big weed. Yeah.
slap equals consent in this world, I guess.
You know what? That'd be cool though. If you slap, if a woman slapped me a couple times, I would give her consent to fucking. No problem, man. She smacked me in the face like that anytime.
Yeah, I think that was him
That
trying to
might go.
say, like, even though we're guilty, it makes things spicier in the bedroom, and like I'm gonna creep in your bedroom. Like that's basically him being like, I'm still
Because
down-
even
I'm
that was
still
so
about
out
it.
of, that was so out of character, out of pocket. Like, what is he doing in her room? He never would have been in her room.
You know why though? Because he got that badge now. Now he's like,
allowed to be
hey,
everywhere,
yeah, check out for wait. Like I don't care anymore. Like
And
your
that
fa-
slap was
your-
because
your
you took
fa-
it from my dad.
your father's gone. I'm your son's right hand man. Here I'm. That's why that was a power move
was
right
a
there. In the
power move.
yeah, that definitely was a
And
power
for him
move.
not to move like while she slapped him.
See,
like
I'm not
that,
even
yeah.
that mad at the scene. I agree
He's
with
such a
Christina.
small penis. Like he's just like a
He does.
small
He's
teen
got it.
ween.
Gotta be smaller than mine for sure.
Small penis
Small
energy.
teen. Yeah,
It
small peen ween.
It happens, man. It happens.
Well, there you go. There's our final comment on this episode of Kristen Cole. But you're right. I'm
Keep your
on
eye out, guys.
I'm not-
He's got points in this one. So
I'm-
come on.
lots of great theories and points going on here this episode. Look at our hot
Nobody
takes,
likes me.
everybody. Look at our hot takes.
Almost 2 hours, guys. This was more impressive than last week.
I'm surprised. I didn't think we were gonna get that much out of this episode, but here we are. We just love talking
My
about
fault.
it. No, we're under
No,
under 2 hours.
yeah,
That's where
that's
we want to
great.
keep it. An hour and a half to an hour 45 is the sweet spot, guys. So all right, guys. So yeah, we'll bring it home here. Thank you once again. If you did tune into the the episode here. I saw some people coming in and out of the stream today. Just a reminder, I know sometimes you guys are used to seeing these as pre-recorded that air live. We are recording these live. This is all of us talking live in the moment. So come
Send
through
us
in the
some
chat.
comments.
Yeah, send us some comments here. I put this up in the chat earlier. You can, if you sign into your YouTube account, you can put up comments in the chat. If you guys are watching the episode, let us know what you think and join in on the conversation, right? So that's kind of the point of us doing it live, because, you know, as you can see, we can easily talk for 2 hours about this show. We don't need it, but we want you guys to join in on the conversation. So hit us up in the comments.
That's the only time we won't mind if it goes over 2 hours. If everybody
exactly
up in the comments,
there's a lot of participation.
Participation is always great, guys.
So just to let you guys know out there, that is what we're going to be planning on doing for the remainder of the season, is that we are in these live because it's kind of fun doing it this way. We felt like for the new season. So
very much so, very, very much so.
Yeah, it's been fun.
I've enjoyed it.
So thank you once again to JT for coming here down in person, and Christina, once again, as always, thank you for joining us here, and like and subscribe and all that good stuff, guys. And we'll see you guys next time. Let me just bring up the music here.
Oh yeah,
JT's favorite song.
I'm actually, like I said, it's not so bad since I really got into that. I really focused this time, like I said, on the
congrats, Jay.
On the intro. Fuck off.
It just ends.